Pilates Mat class, about 45 minutes. Modify as you need to. I'll do my best to demonstrate different modifications where appropriate. Sit down on your mat. Knees are bent. Plunge your feet in front of you. Hold onto your thighs, so your hands are behind your thighs. Then round your spine. Spine round, collarbone stay wide. Slowly roll down just about halfway, and then lift all the way back up. Slightly arch your back, open the collarbones, lift your chest up. Let's do it 2 more times. Slowly round the spine, scoop the tailbone under, roll down just about halfway. You're still holding onto your thighs. Now literally pull yourself back up. Lift your chest up. 1 more like that. Slowly roll down halfway. Collarbones stay wide. You don't want the shoulders to round forward. And then come all the way back up. Then the next one will go all the way down. You're still holding onto your thighs. Tailbone is lengthening towards the heels. Slowly start lowering down 1 vertebra at a time. You may need to slide your hands a little closer towards your hips so that you have that support throughout the movement. And then lower all the way down to your back. Once you get there, you can keep your feet where they are. If you need to slide them a little closer in, but the knees are still pointing up towards the ceiling. Place your fingertips onto your lower abdominals and take a few pelvic tilts from here. Just the pelvis is moving. Arch your lower back, you're tilting the pelvis forward, and then gently press the lower back into the mat to bring the pelvis into a posterior tilt. Do that a few more times. Arch your lower back, and then round your lower back. 1 more in each direction. Then find a position somewhere in the middle, somewhere in between the arch and the rounding of the lower back. Tailbone is lengthening towards the heels. Tailbone is heavy. Now from here, bring the arms alongside your body. Palms are facing down or in or up. Either way is good. But maintain the position in the pelvis and the slight engagement of abdominals. Keep that engagement and start lifting the arms up towards the ceiling. Fingertips over the shoulders. If you're good here, see if you can continue bringing the arms all the way overhead. What sometimes happens is that the back starts arching. You don't want that to happen. Bring the arms as high up as you feel comfortable bringing them, and then reverse it and bring the arms all the way back down towards the mat. Working only on the arms, lifting the arms up and lowering them back down, focusing on maintaining the engagement in the abdominals and the neutral pelvis. You don't have to bring the arms all the way overhead if that's too much. Just bring them as high up as you feel comfortable bringing them. And nothing should be shifting in the pelvis or in your torso, just the arms are moving. Just 1 more like this. Lift the arms up. And then lower the arms all the way back down. Bring the arms alongside your body. You may want to turn the palms to face down. Gently press the hands down into the mat. Make sure you still have the neutral pelvis, the lower ribs, and the front points of the hips, the bony landmarks on the fronts of the pelvis are all hugging in towards one another. Gently. A little bit of engagement in the abdominals. Maintain that, and then lift the right foot off the mat, just to hover. Lower the foot back down. Lift the left foot up and lower back down. It's an easy movement if you let the pelvis shift. You want to maintain everything exactly as is. You want to continue breathing, of course. Make sure you're not holding the breath. And then you're marching in one place, lifting 1 foot up and then the other. You may feel that especially the lower abdominals are engaging. Your pelvic floor muscles are engaging as well. Even yourself out. Finish with the left foot and then pause here. Going to lift the legs up into a tabletop position. So your knees are over the hips, your shins are parallel to the ground. Now here, oftentimes the lower back goes into extension again. We don't want that. Lower ribs, front bones of the hips still hugging in towards one another. If it's too challenging for you to maintain a position, simply bring knees closer towards the chest. The closer your knees to your chest, the easier it's going to be on the abdominals. Your arms are still alongside your body. Palms face down, arms gently press down into the mat. Start from wherever you need to start. If you can, knees over the hips. Maintain the 90-degree angle in your knees and then lower the right foot down to the mat, or maybe almost to the mat, doesn't have to touch. Lift that back up and then lower the left foot down, tap, and left back up. Same thing as when we were starting from the ground, we were lifting the feet up one at a time. You want to maintain a neutral pelvis. You want to maintain that engagement in the abdominal muscles. And you want to be able to breathe throughout the movement. Even yourself out and then come back to center. Now we put all of it together. Start with the arms extending towards the ceiling so the fingertips are over the shoulders. You still have the neutral pelvis. Same applies to the position of the knees. Knees over the hips is going to be a little more challenging. Knees closer to the chest is going to be a little easier. So do the option that works for you. From here, we're going to move opposite arm and leg. You can keep both knees, the knees bent as they move, or you can extend the leg. You're going to move the right leg forward. The left arm goes alongside the left ear. Come back to the starting position and then switch. Left leg reaches forward, right arm alongside the right ear. Back to starting position. Continue alternating opposite arm and leg. Maintain a neutral pelvis. Maintain the engagement in the abdominal muscles. Let's do one more each side. Even yourself out. And then rest. Bring the knees into your chest. Rock from side to side. Lower your feet down to the mat. Arms are still alongside the body. Fingertips are reaching towards the heels. We're going to lift up just halfway, even less than half, maybe 1/3 of the way. Lift the head and the shoulder blades off the mat. Curl up. Your fingertips are reaching towards the heels, and then slowly lower back down. Do that again. You want to use your abdominals to curl up, not so much the neck muscles. Scoop the tailbone under and slowly lower back down. Just one more like this. Curl up. And then lower all the way back down. Take it into the next level. Bring your fingertips alongside the ears. Elbows are wide, relatively wide. Curl up just like before. Now your hands are supporting your head slightly, but you still want the abdominals to be doing most of the work. Bring your hands behind your thighs. Maybe lift yourself a little higher. Literally pull yourself a little higher up. Stay this high up. Neck is nice and long. Bring your hands to the back of the head and then lower all the way back down. And again, curl up. Hands behind the thighs. Lift yourself a little higher up. Hands to the back of the head. Lower all the way back down. We do 3 more. Lift up. Hands behind the thighs. Curl a little higher up. Hands to the back of the head. Lower all the way down. Last 2. Lift. Hands behind the thighs. Lift a little higher up. Hands to the back of the head. Lower all the way down. You're going to stay up a little longer on the last one. Curl up. Hands behind the thighs. Lift a little higher up. Stay lifted. Stay right where you are. Continue breathing. Bring your hands to the back of the head. Bring your hands to the back of your thighs. Hands to the head. Hands to your thighs. 3 more. Hands to the back of the head. Hands to your thighs. 2 more. Hands to the back of the head. Hands to your thighs. Shoulder blades are still off the mat. Hands to the back of the head. Hands to your thighs. Maybe curl a little higher up. Bring your hands to the back of the head and then slowly lower all the way back down. Bring your knees into your chest. For the next 3 exercises, the head is not going to have that support of the hands. So this is where you may want to use a rolled up blanket or yoga block and place it under the back of the head so that your head stays lifted without you overusing the neck muscles. You should feel the workout, the exercises in your abdominals, not in your neck. If you feel it more in your neck than your abdominals, then use something to prop your head up so the head stays lifted. Knees are in your chest. Lift the head and shoulder blades off the mat. Keep the right knee bent, extend the left leg away from you, maybe at about a 45-degree angle. Your left hand goes onto the right knee, below the right knee. Your right hand goes onto the right shin. The higher the left leg goes, the easier it's going to be for your abdominals to maintain the position in the neutral position of the pelvis. And the less weight you're putting is the abdominals. So you choose the position of that straight leg wherever you need it to be. Kick the direction into your hands, maybe lift a little higher up. Collarbones stay wide, neck stays long. Switch your legs, bring it left knee into your chest, right leg extends. We held it long on the first side, so we're gonna stay here a little bit longer too. That straight leg is always engaged, so it's not just hanging there, it's engaged, it's reaching across the room. Maybe try bringing it lower or higher and find a position where you feel that the working abdominals that feels the right amount. And then switch legs again. Switch and switch and switch. As you bring the knee into your chest, you're kicking the shin into your hands, and your hands are pulling the leg towards the chest. Both of those things happen at the same time. Then last 4, 3, 2, 1. Come back to the right side, right knee into your chest. Kick the chin into your hands, maybe pull a little higher up. And if you can, release the arms alongside your body, maybe arms up towards the ceiling. Maybe you support your head with your hands. Continue hugging the right knee into your chest. Hold it here. 4, 3, 2, 1. Switch your legs. Left knee into your chest, right leg straight. Place your hands onto your left chin and literally kick the chin into your hands to curl up, abdominals engaged. And if you can, release the arms alongside the body. Arms up towards the ceiling would be harder. Hands behind the head. In a way harder, in a way easier. Continue hugging the left knee into your chest. Last 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring both knees into your chest. Head goes down. Rock from side to side. The next exercise is in a way similar to what we just did. Both legs will be straight, so we get a little stretch for the hamstrings here. Single straight leg stretch. Start the same way. Head and shoulder blades lift up. Right leg extends straight up towards the ceiling. Left leg extends as well, about halfway down. Same thing applies here. The lower that bottom leg goes, the more challenging it's going to be for the abdominals. You go as far as you want to go. Place your hands somewhere between the knee and the ankle of the top leg. Pulse the leg twice towards your chest. Pulse, pulse, switch your legs. Pulse, pulse, switch. Pulse, pulse, switch. Pulse, pulse. Keep going. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come back to the right side. Right leg is up, left leg is down. Dorsiflex both feet. Draw the toes towards the knees. Pulse again. Pulse, pulse. Switch your legs. Pulse, pulse. Keep the feet flexed. You'll feel a deeper stretch in the calf muscles and in the hamstrings. Just 4 more. 3, 2. Even out the sides, and then bend both knees. Bring them into your chest. Head goes down. Rock from side to side. Single leg stretch, single straight leg stretch. Going to do a double leg stretch where both legs are going to be extending away from your center of gravity. Same thing applies here. The lower the legs go, the harder, the more challenging it is for your abdominals. Bring the legs as low as you feel comfortable bringing them, as long as the lower back doesn't arch. Your lower ribs should not be flaring out. Your lower back should not be arching. Those two things happen at the same time. Start with the knees in your chest, head and shoulder blades lift up. You can always start just with the leg portion of this exercise. Extend the legs away from your center of gravity, hug the knees back into your chest. You want to add the arms to it, arms extend in opposite direction from the legs, and then hug everything back in. Inhale, open. As you exhale, hug everything back in. 4 more. Inhale, open. Exhale, hug it back in. 3 more. Last 2. 1 more. Open. Hold it there. Hold it for 5, 4. Continue breathing. 3, 2, 1. Bend the knees. Bring them into your chest. Head goes down. Rock from side to side. Crisscross crunches or bicycle crunches. We're going to start in the position where we started one of the previous exercises, where the knees are over the hips. Again, if that's appropriate for your body. Tailbone is lengthening towards the front of the mat. Lower ribs are still hugging in. Fingertips alongside the ears. If you want to clasp your hands behind the back of the head, feel free to do that. Just make sure that you don't pull the head up. If you do this, you're pressing the back of the head into your hands, and then you use your abdominals to curl up. Your elbows stay wide. When I see the elbows come in like this, that usually means that the arms are pulling the head up and we don't want that. Neck stays long. Abdominals during most of the work. Knees over the hips, if that works for you. Squeeze the legs together. We're just moving the upper body for the first few repetitions. You want both shoulder blades off the mat. Left elbow reaches towards the right knee. You want the right shoulder blade to stay off the mat. Come back through the center. Right elbow reaches towards the left knee. Back to center. Left elbow towards the right knee. Center. Squeeze the legs together. Right elbow towards the left knee. Back to center. 4 more like this. 3. Both shoulder blades stay off the mat. 2. 1. Turn back to the right side. Left elbow reaches towards that right knee. Straighten your left leg. Hug the right knee into your chest and bring the right knee across, like you want to bring the right knee towards the left armpit. The right shoulder is still off the mat. Here, pulse the upper body up and down, up, up. Pulse. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Switch all the way to the other side. Right leg is straight, left knee reaches across towards the right armpit, and then pulse, pulse, pulse. The left shoulder is off the mat. Last 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Side to side. To the right, center, to the left, center. Keep the pelvis steady. Don't let the pelvis rock from side to side. Keeping my bent knee over my hip. If you prefer, you can always let the knee come closer towards the chest. See whether that makes a difference for you. 1 more each side. Even yourself out. Come back to center. Head goes down. Knees into the chest. Rock from side to side. Lower your feet down to the mat, and you may want to slide your feet out a little further. Extend the arms up towards the ceiling where the fingertips are over the shoulders. Inhale here. As you exhale, start rolling up into a seated position. If you need to, your knees are bent, your thighs are right there. You can hold onto your thighs and pull yourself all the way up. As you come up to seated position, upright position, straighten your legs and then round your spine. Fingertips reach towards the toes. Imagine you're rounding the spine, reaching over a big beach ball. Stack your spine again. Collarbones wide, shoulders away from the ears, hands parallel to the ground. Round your lower back. Tailbone is lengthening towards the heels. Slowly, 1 vertebra at a time, lower all the way down. Your thighs are there. If you need to use them on the way down, you can always use them on the way down as well. Fingertips over the shoulders. Inhale here to prepare. As you exhale, slowly start rolling up. Use the support of your arms, hands behind the thighs for extra support if you need it. Round the spine at the top, fingers reach towards the toes, and then stack your spine again. Slowly roll down. Imagine you're placing the spine down onto the mat, 1 vertebra at a time. You have to find every single vertebra. Gradually lower the spine down. Inhale at the bottom. On an exhale, roll back up. Use the hands behind the thighs if you need that variation. The slower you move, the more challenging it is, of course. Even if you're struggling with coming up without momentum, I would suggest focusing on lowering down slowly as possible, because you're using exactly the same muscles, and this is how you can build the strength to eventually do the roll up without momentum or without any support, hands behind the thighs or any other support. You can also play with the position with the arms. If the basic variation of this roll up is easy for you, you can try lifting the arms up, keeping the arms overhead alongside the ears throughout the movement is going to make it more challenging. Again, if you're just working on smoothing out the movement, then I wouldn't worry about lifting the arms up. But if you feel that you need that extra challenge, then you can certainly try that. And then next time you're down on your back, stay there. Lower the arms down to the mat. Bend your knees. Plant your feet fully on the mat, so knees are pointing up towards the ceiling. Your ankles are more or less under your knees. Feet are about hip width apart. Keep the arms alongside the body with the palms facing down. Press the arms down into the mat. Find engagement in your triceps, in your latissimus dorsi, in your back muscles. Gently press your lower back into the mat, so the tailbone curls up towards the ceiling. And this time continue rolling up into a bridge. Lift the hips up. Your glutes are engaged. If you started with that pelvic tilt, and slowly melt the spine back down. Same thing applies here that I said earlier about when we were doing the roll-ups, when you were lifting and then lowering the spine up and down, one vertebra at a time. That's exactly what we're working on here. It's segmental movement or articulation of the spine. It's really the main purpose of this particular exercise. The glute and hamstring work is just an added bonus. Slow, controlled movement. When you lower it down, imagine you want to sit on your heels, so your sit bones reach towards the heels. Next time you're up in the bridge, stay there. Check your ribs. You don't want them to flare out. Low ribs, front bones and the hips are still hugging in towards one another. Arms are pressing down into the mat. Stay exactly where you are. Press your feet down into the mat, but energetically pull the feet back towards your shoulders. You don't actually move, but you drag, energetically drag the feet back towards the shoulders. Notice how much more your hamstrings and your glutes engage. Tailbone is still pointing up towards the ceiling. Hold that engagement, and then slowly melt the spine back down. Continue energetically dragging the feet back towards the shoulders. So the hips are down, pause there, walk your feet closer to one another, almost to touch. Roll back up into your bridge. We did the marches earlier when the hips were still on the ground. Now we're going to march again. You want the hips to stay as still as possible. You don't want the hips to be rocking side to side. Press the arms down into the mat and then lift one foot up off the mat, just a few inches, lower it down, lift the other foot up and lower it down. The foot that is staying on the ground is still pressing firmly down. It has to press down, but you're also pulling it back towards your shoulders. You can see your hips from where you are. Make sure they stay as even, as steady, as still as possible. So they're not rocking from side to side. Let's do one more each side. Even yourself out and then slowly melt the spine all the way back down. And do the opposite, open the feet wide. Feet as wide as the mat. So a little wider than the hip width apart. Toes are slightly turned out, knees and toes pointing same direction. Arms are still alongside your body. Press your lower back gently into the mat. Tailbone curls up. Continue rolling up into your bridge. Knees, toes still pointing the same direction. Lower ribs, front bones of the hips are hugging in. Melt the spine all the way back down. Because of that, legs being in an abducted position and the hips externally rotated, the glutes, the gluteal muscles are working a little harder here, which is good. 3 more here. Roll up. slowly roll back down. The cue I gave you earlier about the feet pressing down and energetically dragging back towards the shoulders, you can always apply it in your bridges. It just gives you more engagement for the hamstrings and the glutes. One more. Next time you're up in that bridge, stay there. Roll up into your bridge. Your glutes should be already engaged. Let's see what you can squeeze in just a little bit more. Squeeze the glutes as hard as you can. Feet are pressing down energetically. Drag your feet back towards the shoulders. Hold the engagement. Continue breathing. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then slowly melt the spine all the way back down. Walk the feet closer to one another and then roll around to one side. You could stay up on your forearm like so. If you do that, make sure you press the ground with that forearm so that you protect your shoulder. You don't want to dump the weight into the shoulder. You align your torso one side of the mat. Your feet are going to be on the opposite side of the mat. So you have a little bit of a bend at the hip crease. I prefer staying down like so, where my hand is supporting, my bottom hand is supporting my head. Wherever you feel comfortable is good. Lift the top leg up, point the foot, and start drawing tiny little circles with that foot. These are like hip circles. We didn't do them on the back today, so we're doing inside lying. You don't want the pelvis to move, so the hips should not be rocking forward and back. The movement is coming just from that thigh bone. The thigh bone is moving inside the socket, quite literally. Let's do 3 more here. 2 and 1. Reverse the direction. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Abdominals engaged. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Reverse the direction again. If you can, make the circles bigger. Make them bigger only if you can maintain a neutral position in pelvis, meaning that the hips are not rocking forward and back. Watch especially the top hip. Of course, the top hip tends to rock forward and back. Keep the hips stacked nicely. Last 2 and 1. Reverse the direction last time. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Pause here. Don't lower the foot down yet. Going to externally rotate the top leg. So the toes and the knee turn up towards the ceiling. Hips are still stacked. Do not let the top hip go back. You're going to start bending the top knee. You slide the heel on the inner seam of your bottom leg, the heel or the foot. Your thigh stays where it is in space when it's bent. From there, you straighten the leg, flex the foot, and lower the leg all the way back down. Point the foot, slide the foot on the inner seam of your bottom leg. Thigh stays where it is as you straighten the leg, flex the foot, and lower down. That was 2. Slide the foot on the inner seam of your bottom leg. Hips are still stacked. Straighten the leg, and lower down. 3. 4. 5. 5 more of these. So keeping the hips stacked. Your top hand is free. 4 more. You can always use the top hand for a little extra support so your hips are not rocking forward and back. You have 3 more here. Last 2. 1 more. And lower all the way back down. Bend both knees. Hips are still stacked. Knees are stacked in start position again. We're going to do a few clamshells from here. Feet stay all the way together for the first variation. You just lift the top knee up. Lift it as high up as you can, external rotating the hip, and then lower back down. The top knee lifts and lowers. It's 2. Lift and lower. 3, 4. Don't let the top hip go back. Hips stay stacked. Just the knee is lifting up and lowering back down. Last 3, 2, and 1. Keep the knee lifted and then lift the foot up as well. So you bring the top leg parallel to the ground from here. Bring the knees together, foot lifts a little higher, then bring the heels together, knee lifts a little higher. Internal rotation, knees together, external rotation, heels together. Knees, kiss, heels, kiss. 4, 5, hips are still stacked one on top of the other. You don't want them to be rocking forward and back. Just going back and forth between internal rotation and external rotation. Let's do 3 more. 2, 1. Come back to that internal rotation. Heel, the foot is a little higher, and then pulse the top leg up and down here. 8, 7, 6, 5. Keep that internal rotation. 3, 2, 1, and then slowly release all the way back down. The internal rotation helps us work the gluteus medius and minimus, smaller gluteal muscles that don't really get that much attention oftentimes. Let's switch to the second side. Around to your second side, whatever setup works for you. And again, align your torso on one side of the mat, feet on the other side of the mat. You start with the legs straight, slide bend the hip crease, top hand in front of you for extra support. I like to keep it somewhere on my belly so I feel where my abdominals are engaged. Sometimes the belly starts pushing out, and that's usually not good. You want the abdominals engaged. That doesn't mean you're sucking the belly in, but you're hugging the lower ribs, front points of the hips in towards one another so the abdominals are engaged. Hips stay stacked. We don't do any exercise where the hips would not be stacked. Lift the top leg up. The movement is coming from the hip only. Start drawing tiny little circles. It is coming from the hip, not from the ankle. You want to feel it in the muscles around your hip. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Reverse the direction. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Reverse the direction again. Make the circles bigger if you can maintain the alignment in the pelvis. Hips nicely stacked. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Reverse last time. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. External rotate the top leg, the toes and the knee turn up towards the ceiling. Hips are stacked. With the external rotation, sometimes the top hip tends to roll back. Don't let that happen. Use your top hand for feedback if you need to. Keep it on your lower back. You will feel it if the hips shift or not. Start bending the top knee. Slide the foot on the inner seam of your bottom leg. Straighten the leg at the top. Flex the foot and lower the straight leg all the way down. Point as you start sliding the foot on the inner seam of the bottom leg. Bend the knee. Straighten the leg at the top and lower the leg all the way back down. That was 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. Keep those hips stacked. 8. Last 2. 9. And 10. Bend both knees. Set up for your clamshells. Hips stacked, especially with the first one. Same thing applies what I said about external rotation. Because we external rotate the top hip, the top hip tends to roll back. Don't let that happen. If you're not using your top hand for support in front of you, place it onto your lower back so you feel whether the hips shift. There should be no movement there. It's just coming from the thigh bone moving inside the socket. Feet are together for the first one. Lift the knee up and lower back down. The thigh lifts and lowers without the hip shifting back. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, last one, 10. Pause here, lift the foot up as well. This is your new starting position. From here, bring the knees together, foot lifts a little higher, and bring the heels together, knee lifts a little higher. Knees together, foot up, heels together, knee up. 3, 4, internal rotation, knees together, external rotation, heels together. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Come back to that internal rotation. Lift the foot maybe a little higher up and hold it here or pulse. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then slowly release all the way back down. Massage it out if you need to. Hopefully that feels good. Come down onto your back. Hug the knees into your chest. Just stretch the glutes for a moment. Cross the right ankle over your left knee. You can have the bottom foot down on the mat and then draw that right knee away from your chest. Switch to the other side. That means left ankle, the right knee, draw that top knee away from your chest. Release, bring both knees into your chest. Place your hands onto your shins. Lift the head and shoulder blades off the mat. You want to make sure that any props around you on the mat. We're going to do rolling like a ball. Since we're starting from the bottom, we need to create a little bit of momentum. So start rocking forward and back. Once you create enough momentum to come all the way up. Catch your balance here, ideally without touching the mat with the feet. Keep the heels close to your sit bones. Abdominals are engaged. You're rounding your spine. On an inhale, go back. As you exhale, roll back up. Do your best to catch your balance there. Roll back and up. Just 3 more. Last 2. 1 more. And the next time you're up in a seated position, bring both feet over to one side and come down onto your belly. Legs are straight. Front position, hands under the shoulders, maybe slightly further forward. Neck is nice and long. Neck is aligned with the rest of the spine. Keep your hands on the mat, but keep it relatively light. So you don't use your arms 100%, just for a little extra support. Lift the shoulders up to your ears, roll them back, and then down your back. Here, whether you should feel engagement, a lot of engagement in your back muscles. Again, the hands are light on the mat, and then lift up into this swan variation. And lower right back down. Do it again. Left up. And I'll lower down. Notice what's happening with the shoulders. You don't want them to come up to the ears. Collarbones are still wide. Shoulders away from the ears. So 2 more here. Lift. And lower. Just 1 more like this. Lift. And lower back down. Bring your forehead down to the mat for a moment. Extend the arms alongside the ears. Palms face in or down. If the position with the arms alongside the ears is not comfortable for you, you can always bend the elbows out to the side and move the arms from there if that's more comfortable. Otherwise, arms overhead, neck is in a neutral position. Lift the forehead off the mat if it's still there. But to move opposite arm and leg. Lift the right arm and the left leg. Just the arm and the leg lift, not the torso. Squeeze at the top, lower down. Lift the left arm and the right leg, squeeze and lower back down. Continue alternating. Right arm, left leg, squeeze, lower down. Left arm, right leg, squeeze and lower down. Let's do 4 more like this. Right arm, left leg, squeeze and lower. Left arm, right leg, squeeze and lower. One more each side. Right arm, left leg, lower down. Left arm, right leg, and lower down. Make a pillow with your hands, one hand over the other, forehead onto the hands, rock the hips side to side. If this was enough of a challenge, you're going to stay with the same variation. If you want to challenge yourself a bit more, you can try lifting both arms and both legs up at the same time. When we lift the legs up, sometimes what happens is that we bend the knee to lift the foot up. You want the leg to stay straight and you want to lift the leg up so that thigh lifts up as well. However, the front points of the hips stay down. That would apply mostly for the single arm variation, so the pelvis is not rocking side to side. Whichever option you're doing, your neck is in a neutral position. You're looking down towards the top of the mat, not forward. When you look forward, your neck goes into extension. So you're looking down towards the top of the mat. Find a position for your arms that feels comfortable. Opposite arm and leg, or lift everything up, squeeze at the top, and lower back down. Lift, squeeze, and lower. Keep going, whichever variation works for you, stay with that one. Last 4, 3, 2, one more. If you're doing opposite arm and leg, even yourself out, and then everybody lower all the way back down. Forehead on your hands, rock the hips side to side, bend the knees, windshield wiper your legs, if that feels good. Straighten your legs again. Place your hands under your shoulders. Press back into a child's pose. If child's pose is not good for you, just stay in tabletop. You can take a 1 or 2 rounds of cat and camel from there, or again, child's pose. From your child's pose or tabletop, you want to have the hands planted fully about shoulder width apart. Gently press the ground away, just a little, so that the shoulder blades go into a protracted position so they separate on your rib cage. They glide apart from one another. And then extend the right leg behind you, tuck the toes under, extend the left leg behind you, tuck the toes under as well. You're in a plank position. You're still squeezing the glutes, tailbone is lengthening towards the heels. You're pushing the ground away with your arms. From here, lift the right foot up off the mat, point the right foot and press the left heel back. Left heel goes back to the starting position, right foot goes down to the mat. Lift the left foot up, left toes reach back, press the right heel back. Back to starting position, 2 more each side. Right foot lifts, left heel presses back, back to neutral. Left foot lifts, left foot reaches back as the right heel presses back, back to neutral. 1 more each side. Even yourself out and then pause. If you need a break, take a break, knees down. If you're ready to continue with the next one, start back again in a plank position. Hips stay as still as possible. Step the right foot out to the side, maybe slightly outside of the mat, bring it back to center. Step the left foot out to the side, back to center. What tends to happen here is the hips go in the opposite direction than the leg. You want the hips to stay still. Torso stays still as the leg moves out to the side. We don't want the spine to move, to rotate, side bend, anything like that. Let's do 1 more each way. And then bring the knees down. Stay in tabletop or child's pose. Lift the torso up. And now from here, I'm going to lower the hips to one side. I have my hips on the left side. Walk the right hand out to the side. Left arm reaches up and over. Come back through the center. Switch to the other side. Bring the hips over to the right. Left arm reaches out to the side as the right arm reaches up and over. Come back to center. Sit on your heels if that's comfortable enough to do. Arms reach up towards the sky. Big inhale. And that's it for today. Thank you for joining me.